Hi everybody, it's meteorologist Joe Cioffi on this Wednesday, July 25th, 2018. It's coming up on 7:30 Eastern Time. I started a little bit earlier than that. It's at 7:25 right now, but before we're too much into this video, it'll be 7:30. And just remember, right off at the top of the video, just going to remind everybody when it comes to severe weather, remember that what we're seeing here is dated, so if you're watching this on a replay later tonight and your area is being impacted by severe weather, please be sure to check your local National Weather Service office, which you can access at weather.gov for all the latest radars and for the latest watches and warnings for your particular area. You want to make sure you have all the latest updated information. Okay, got a busy evening, and I think what I want to do is I want to start off with what's been going on throughout much of the eastern half of Pennsylvania. And I have here, this is as measured by the Doppler in terms of the rainfall, and this is actually cumulative from Saturday through Wednesday. The red areas are the different shades of red, generally 5 inches or more, but you can see how extensive the area of red is, and there are additional rains that are going on right now where you see these yellow boxes. These are all flash flood warnings that have been posted, and the rainfall amounts have been quite excessive, at least 3 inches of rain in the area that in yellow. So we're talking about a good chunk of geography here, and the impact to eastern Pennsylvania with this rainfall has been certainly significant. And we still have weather that is going on, and we'll center the radar a bit better for you. And you can see what's happening here across eastern Pennsylvania. You've got two things at play here. There is a surface wave that has developed and is moving northeastward along the Delaware coast and into South Jersey and pushing northward. And you can see how the arc of precip from coming in from off the ocean goes southeast to northwest. So there's a bit of a surface low there, and you've got the upper trough that is the whole upper trough, the complex that is weakening and getting kicked out to the northeast. So to the west, we're getting an enhancement of downpours and thunderstorms, and there's actually a fairly impressive line as of almost 7:30, now moving into the eastern Pennsylvania counties. This has been responsible for much of the rain that they're seeing this evening. Oddly enough, during the beginning of today, the radar was a little bit on the quiet side across Pennsylvania, but later in the afternoon, and now certainly through this evening, we're getting a ton of rainfall from this last arm. And I think we're going to at least see a little bit of improvement the next 2 days, but we're not out of the woods yet, by the way, when it comes to additional rainfall for Thursday and also for Friday, when I think there's going to be the risk even of severe weather. But in the meantime, we do have flash flood issues for parts of northern New Jersey into the Hudson Valley. We've seen a few areas with some flash flood warnings up. I'm going to go back to, I think I'll see if we can get storm totals. We'll go a little bit further to the east on the radar, and this is from the Weather Service in New York. And I got to speak to these guys because their scale is completely different from the scale that are on the other radar. So I want to make sure, you know, we're talking about apples to apples here. Here's the profile. The green is a ½ an inch of liquid. This is, by the way, from a time standpoint, this is also from Saturday through Wednesday. So you can see that the coastal rainfall amounts have been generally under an inch for Long Island and southern New England. They have been on the order of 1 to 2 inches, and even up in parts of Ocean County a bit more, but 1 to 2 inches up the New Jersey coast. And then you start dealing with the bigger amounts up in northeastern New Jersey and in parts of the Hudson Valley, and then you start to touch that heavy rain area in eastern Pennsylvania coming into range on the radar. I go a little bit further south. This has not been updated. This is actually from Fort Dix, what we're looking at here is rainfall from today, just today, and the light blues are traced to 0.3 of an inch. You start to get into the darker blues, but you see that the rainfall hasn't been all that much, except late this afternoon, where we had some flash flooding in parts of northeastern New Jersey, where the greens start to show up, and you see the inch to 2 inches of rain there. Parts of Delaware getting hit with some heavy rains, and then you start to come into the rainfall from eastern Pennsylvania, again, from what's fallen so far today in the areas just, you go west of, Harrisburg and north and west of there. You've got your a few pockets of 2 to 3 inches, but as I showed you before what the totals were, and going south, okay, so that's Dover radar, they're unavailable. This is the radar view, the total rainfalls from Wakefield, Virginia, so you can see how this is played in the areas generally south of the Washington, D.C., Baltimore area, but a lot of areas here in southeastern Virginia getting hit fairly hard with rainfall amounts in excess of 5 inches. I think I want to go back. Let's go straight west, because this is where I think this might be. If Johnny Quest, if you're on the chat board tonight, I'm just going to ask you if you can confirm that this is your general area, so you can see the rainfall amounts here. This is from Friday through Wednesday, and you've got pockets of 5 inches or more of rain as well. And we'll jump up, we'll go northeast to Sterling. Sterling only has the rainfall from today, which we've seen these few pockets of 2 and 2.5 inches, very small areas on the Pennsylvania side. On the Maryland side too, you've got a lot of pockets there of little dots of 1 to 2 inches of rain. And I'll go further north. Okay, so we're back now. This is for you can see much of the state of Pennsylvania here. This is from State College, Pennsylvania, and their radar. So very, very busy indeed. And with respect to what's actually happening, I just switched over to the composite side so you can look at the echoes. And there's your area of heavy rains this evening, and the flash flood warnings that are up. And we go to my neck of the woods, and again, now we're at 7:33, so you do see some pockets of heavy rain across northern and western New Jersey, and a little bit of action starting to show up just east of the coastal New Jersey to just south of the South Shore of Long Island. So over the next 3 or 4 hours, the weather's going to be a little bit on the interesting side with the surface low that is moving up. I'll show you the HRRR's model's view. The Pennsylvania showers and storms start to weaken after about 9 o'clock, but you get this little blow up of downpours and some heavy thunderstorms. You see this concentration over New York City and just to the east. There's actually a low center, a little low that is moving northeastward right along the immediate coast. And you get this flare-up of thunderstorms right near where the low center is before it moves its way up into southern New England and eventually finds its way all the way up into northern New England. Notice, by the way, by the middle of the day tomorrow, actually we're just about lunchtime tomorrow, at least from the standpoint of areas that have been hit very hard with the flooding rains, there's nothing happening tomorrow. So this is a good thing. And I'm going to go to the GFS. We'll bring up the upper air. Hang on. And you can see what's actually been happening with the whole trough as it goes bye. So here we are. This is at this is from late this afternoon. In fact, I will you know what? We'll bring it up on the paint box. I think that'll be better. Let me bring it up on the paint box. And okay. Here we go. So good. Okay, so here it is. This is the GFS as what we're dealing with in terms of the jet stream. This is for this evening, and we have. I just want to make sure your view is as good as. Let me make it a little smaller so you can. Oops. Here we go. Make it just a little bit smaller so you can see a bit more of the screen here. So here's our jet stream, and here are your upper level winds. I'll draw them in for you. Right like this, and then they turn northeastward up the east coast. Here's your trough. This is what is left, by the way, of that deep trough that we've been watching for the last 5 days. That's been lined up just to along the Appalachians, up and down the coast. That trough has now weakened and opened up, and it's getting kicked along to the northeast by this shortwave trough that is dropping down from Canada and swinging across. So that basically takes this and just kind of kicks it out to the northeast. And finally, after many days, we're starting to see some movement in the upper flow and in the upper atmosphere. So that's a good thing, because at the very least that means that weather systems will be moving along, and that we'll have a change in air mass to enjoy, or at least a decrease in some of this hideous humidity that we've been dealing with. So here's how the upper air shapes up. You've got your shortwave trough that's getting kicked out to the northeast. Now here's that the jet stream comes just far enough south so that we get a push of slightly drier air for Saturday and Sunday. Getting to that point will be on Friday, when we have a weak front or a dry line that'll be approaching and moving through. And I think ahead of that, there might be the threat for some severe weather. The Storm Prediction Centers also already highlighted that on their forecast from earlier today. And as we move through the weekend and into next week, there's going to be another trough trying to drop in. But this time around, it drops in further west. So that might mean that the consistent shower and thunderstorm activity will wind up being further west than it is now. But at the same time, you're going to have a south-southwest flow here along the east coast. So the humidity is going to be way up, and we could still wind up with a fair amount of downpours to deal with during the first part of next week. That upper trough kind of hangs there and then weakens. You've got a big upper high off the east coast, a flat upper high in the southwest, where you continue to have some very hot weather. And going forward, that ridge actually tries to build into the east late next week and into the first days of August. So this might, if this is right, off the late afternoon GFS, if this is right, we could see some hot weather coming as we move into the first days of August, before that ridge flattens out late in the period. So I think that's something that we're going to have to, we're certainly going to have to pay attention to. And the European, by the way, just for comparison's sake, the European, oops, a little bit stuck there. The European is doing, the same idea as that trough lifts out, and then it tries to drop in another trough. The European's a bit more vigorous with this. It's got a much more vigorous look than the GFS has. It's interesting that it does that. At the end of the day, it still winds up weakening it. Kind of looks like what we're going through now, except it's doing it further to the west. And then it starts to build the upper high off the Atlantic back westward. This is now, at this point, we are this is Thursday, August 2nd, Friday, August 3rd, and Saturday, August 4th. So it is trying to build that ridge back westward. So we will pay attention to this. This could be significant. And we'll go back to the GFS. We take a look at the practical day-to-day weather here going forward. And so here's what we got tonight. Tomorrow, I think there might be a couple of scattered showers or thunderstorms late in the day. And here's your cold front for Friday evening. And it's from this that the Storm Prediction Center has a slight risk of severe weather. Also, some looks like some heavy thunderstorms in the southern half of Florida, and some storms up in the northern in the Central Plains. And there's a nice little high. It's not a big push, but it's just enough of a push of dry air and lower humidity to come into Sunday and Monday before we start the process all over again Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, bringing in tropical moisture and occasional waves of showers and thunderstorms. it's kind of where we are in the cycle here as far as the month of July is concerned. The tropics remain pretty much a dead issue. Just to see really fast if the Hurricane Center, just their latest discussion, nothing. Yeah, they've already updated this, so we're talking about no cyclone, not expected tropical cyclone development during the next 48 hours, and nothing of consequence in the next 5 days. A quick look at the satellite loop. I think we're going to find that we have the same issues that we've had for days, and you've got this big upper low that's sitting well off the east coast, out in the tropical Atlantic. Looks like you have a pretty active tropical wave that's coming off the African coast now, but how much of that is going to be able to hold together in what looks like at least still some Saharan dust in the mix. I'm trying to look closely to see if there's any kind of cold upper low in the eastern Atlantic that's producing shear. It doesn't look like there's anything as dominant as the feature that you see out in the southwestern Atlantic. So let's see where this goes. But from what I looked at from the weather models today, I didn't really especially see anything with regards to something developing. There was some hint of something on the European in the 9 days from now off the southeast coast of the U.S., but I'm not going to put much stock in that at this point. Just let me really fast. I'm going to just check the storm prediction centers. Well, in fact, even before we do that, just taking a look at the tons of flash flood warnings that are up tonight for many of the counties in eastern Pennsylvania. You can certainly access this on weather.gov. I do want to take a look at the Storm Prediction Center just to see if they've updated anything with regards to the next 2 days. And so we do have this. I'll put it up on the screen for you so you can see it. So this is for tomorrow. This is for Thursday. We have a marginal risk of severe weather in northern Ohio, northwestern PA, western New York, eastern Michigan, northeastern Indiana, and also an area of marginal risk in the Central Rockies. And as far as Friday is concerned, I was actually kind of surprised, to tell you the truth, to see it already as bullish as they are, with a large area of marginal risk going from the central Appalachians all the way up into northern New England, and that area of slight risk that covers New Jersey to about New York City, the Hudson Valley, westernmost Connecticut and Massachusetts, and eastern Pennsylvania. Plus you have that slight risk of severe weather again back up into the northern Rockies and the western part of the Central Plains states. So we'll see what happens when we get there. Again, I was just kind of surprised they were as aggressive as they were. Models to me with respect to Friday are kind of, they're sort of wishy-washy, I guess. I'm not 100% sold on a super extent of severe weather for Friday, but you know what? We'll see what happens. In the meantime, let me come back to you guys on the board. I hope everybody had a great day. If you're watching from Pennsylvania, I sincerely hope that you are okay in the eastern half of Pennsylvania with all the rain that you've had, and you're going to start to see that diminish somewhat over the next 2 days, and probably not much of the rain over the weekend. Johnny Quest, another 8 inches of rain since Monday where you are. That's just amazing. Charlie Baker, yeah, the rain in Hershey, they're getting hit pretty hard right now. And they got a little bit of more to go. Models weaken that rain area pretty rapidly after 9 or 10 o'clock tonight. So let's hope that holds. I can't see why that wouldn't happen. Let's see. Al Roker, okay, said 3 inches or more of rain amounts were up 30% over the last 30 years. And he blames climate change. Okay, you can't look, and I've said this, you can't look at one one specific weather event and say it has to do with climate change. That implies that there have never been rainfall amounts of that size before, and that's just not true. I also would say that we probably have more data sets now than we had 20 or 30 years ago, so the numbers might be a bit better, and we're getting to see much more of the variation that occurs. So you can't look at one particular event. One snowstorm is not climate change. One hurricane is not climate change. Over a period of many, many years, that is a different story. That is my never to be humble opinion on this. Okay, and everybody has the right to theirs and the right to disagree, obviously. William Huber, have outdoor event on August 4th. Okay, we're at July 25th. Bill, ask me in a few days, okay? Although it would time out with that hot, humid weather taking over for the early part of August if the weather models are correct from what we saw late this afternoon. Priscilla Mayu, no problem being late. Another cool day. I don't know how you guys, but you must be really enjoying those beautiful dew points. You know, that's such an upside for where you are in Louisiana. You rarely get something like this this time of year. How hot Death Valley got? I know their record is 134. I don't think they got anywhere close to that. You know what? Let me just take a look. Let's see. Death Valley high temperature. Okay, well, right now it's 121. Okay, I'd have to go back and I'd have to go back and look at their weather history, so it would probably take me a little bit of time to do. Let me see. And by the way, was it Fallen Angel? You were asking me about hurricane apps. If you're on, I have a whole bunch of them. So just message me, and I'll put them on there. And perhaps if we get a little downtime, I'll make a list and I'll tell all of you what these weather apps are. I don't particularly. I'm not the good expert, so what I did was I went to some of my buddies over on Facebook in the weather groups, because they use this stuff all the time, and I asked them, and they came up with a bunch of them, but I didn't have a chance to write it down. Okay, Death Valley, I just pulled up. They actually just have their new temperature now. They are at 125, okay? And I'm looking at their temperatures over the last few days. On the 23rd, 121. On the 24th yesterday, 124. These are hourly temperatures, so it may actually have gotten hotter in between hours. And we just hit 125 degrees, 4 p.m. 4 p.m. Pacific time. So they are at the highs of the day. The dew point is 47, and the relative humidity is a stunning, absolutely stunning 8%. Yeah, Eastern Nassau, you know, Long Island should get some rain tonight. I mean, I don't know how much is going to fall. There's this boilerplate. I'm really starting to get convinced that at least for some coastal areas right now, there is a boilerplate sitting over some areas, and Long Island is included. There were years where we would just get absolutely hammered by rain, and then it just kind of shut down. It might have to do with this sort of 5-year cycle for thunderstorms that a few people I know have been looking into. But you know, it is kind of frustrating when you could see models, you know, you see weather models trying to make it rain, and it never seems to happen. Ethan Kerr, are we going to get any heavy rain in coastal Ocean County, because it doesn't look like there is much of anything coming on the radar? Yeah, I'm just going to pull up. I want to just go, you know, I don't have the Philadelphia radar. I got the Fort Dix radar. I'm just going to loop it really fast. I mean, there is some stuff right now, by the way. This is as of 7:50 Eastern Time. There are some downpours now coming ashore and moving northward along the coast. You may get into some of that. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen between now and 10 o'clock or so, and then it's gradually going to lift northward. and out of the way. So, you know, it doesn't look like anything devastating is coming your way. I know northeastern Ocean County back over the weekend, or was it late last week? I'm trying to remember when it might have been late last week with thunderstorms that produced, you know, 3 inches or more of rain in about 45 minutes time in some places, especially according to one of my friends that has a rain gauge that lives in Seaside Park, pointed out. He said he doesn't remember ever seeing it rain as hard as it did. It was almost like a complete whiteout condition. Let's see. Does anyone actually live in Death Valley? That's a good question. I don't. I'm not sure what the answer is. Asphalt, driveways, and shingles melt. Yeah, I would think that there would be issues with temperatures every day that hot. 4 inches of rain, Ethan Kerr, so far. I can't imagine. I don't even know what that feels like. How's it going to be at Saratoga this weekend? Raymond, I think it should be okay. Hopefully dry, and hopefully dry enough so that the track, the turf, could get back to at least a good condition, if not firm. He's going to Death Valley to cover global warming. Okay. Well, I'm not one for, you know, I'm not going to Death Valley. No one asked me to go to Death Valley. And frankly, if someone asked me today to go to Death Valley, not that it's not a nice, I'm sure it's a nice place to visit, but I'm not going to do it right now when it's 125. I'm just not doing it. Let's see. Keith Smolin, how's it looking for Sunday in terms of rain? I think you're fine for Sunday. I assume you're in my neck of the woods. Okay, I try to remember where all you people are when you say, and I always, you know, my brain doesn't work well all the time. So I'm assuming you are somewhere eastern PA to southern New England. Yeah, the weather should be pretty good. Aaron Raybear, are the waves coming off the African coast getting eaten away at the dust? Yeah, still not good. There's one of size coming off now. We'll see what it looks like tomorrow. But you still have dust issues. You still have upper low issues. And that's problematic. Sierra Sites, I hope I said that right. I missed the beginning of this video, and you're in Lancaster. It started around 6, downpouring for 10 to 15 minutes, and it's just been steady ever since. Are we expecting more hard rain? Couple of more hours, and it will begin to disappear. It looks like you're at peak mode right now, but I'm thinking after about 9 or 10 o'clock, that area of rain and downpours and thunderstorms should weaken fairly rapidly, and that may be it in terms of the excessive rainfall. It's not that you can't get some more showers and thunderstorms the next 2 days. There probably will be some, but in terms of this sort of continuous belting of rainfall that has been going on since Saturday, I think that part of it is going to be relaxing considerably. Ethan Kerr, coastal New Jersey, Long Island robbed of any real rain at all since Sunday, aside from a few showers. Everything has been further west. I thought today we'd get some more out of it this morning with the first round just kind of, you know, it was sort of so-so in terms of its presentation on the radar. It came up faster, it went out faster. I thought we would probably wind up with more today for those coastal areas, but didn't happen so far. And now we're waiting to see what happens tonight as this low moves on up the coast. Okay, folks, let's call it a night as we're coming up on almost 30 minutes into this video. Thanks for being here. If you're new to my YouTube channel, welcome, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel just by hitting the little subscribe button, which doesn't cost you a dime, and we usually do live streams at least once a day. Reaver, thank you so much for hitting Super Chat tonight. Really, really appreciate it very, very much. Maybe you'll get me a cigar for the drive home, and I certainly could use it. Okay, so don't forget, you got my direct link to Amazon is on the descriptor to this live stream and on the descriptor to the video if you're watching this later. If you shop on Amazon by using the link, Amazon throws me back some coin. You get your stuff. Doesn't cost you an extra dime, and it's a great way to support this channel. You could also do it by signing up with Ebates, and there's a link for that. And you can get cash back on wherever you shop. Ebates has almost, I think it has every retailer out there, including Amazon, on it. So they do the same thing for me that Amazon does. So thank you very, very much for those of you who have used those links. And the Joe and Joe Weather Show tonight, figure about 8:50 on my Facebook page, meteorologist Joe Cioffi, or on Joe Rayo's Facebook page, Joe Rayo Weather. That is the Joe Rayo, Joe Cioffi show, or what we like to call it here is the Joe and Joe Weather Show. Mirtha Gunter came on late tonight. Hope you're having fun in your home in North Carolina and that the weather is good there. And have a great night. We will we'll talk to you either later on Facebook or tomorrow right here on YouTube.